Hello everyone, this is Meshi with Align Plans. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something very fun and something slightly different. So we're talking about empties that I've had that are just simply not working, and I would probably not buy them again. So just a precautionary tale, a little bit of a disclaimer. Today's video might get a little spicy, hence the flames here, just to keep the energy positive and flowy. But at the same time, I wanted to just make a quick disclaimer that anything and everything that I share in this video are related back to my personal experiences with these products. Obviously, there's no shade that is being thrown at the brand or at anyone for that matter who is still using them and loves them and obsessed with them. Obviously, this is just stationary and they're my opinions only, but they're based on my opinions and my experiences. So take them with a grain of salt. But hopefully by the end of this video, you will be able to kind of look back on your own choices, and perhaps you made some of the same mistakes that I have with regards to buying some of these stationary items. So without further ado and a whole lot less cautionary tale, let's just get started with the video. So here's how we're going to do this today. I'm going to basically break things down into 3 different categories. Our first category is going to be planners and systems. The second is inks and pens. And the last one is accessories. And then we wrap it up with a bow. So let's get started with planners and systems. So what is my criteria? What am I looking for within a planner system, within a journaling system that in my opinion would actually be like deemed as good enough? Well, once upon a time, I went down the rabbit hole of Japanese stationery, just like you might have. And I found myself being drawn to so many different beautiful and colorful things. And that's sort of where I'm hitting roadblocks. So my criteria for something to be wonderful and I can get drawn to it, it also needs to be purposeful and useful. So for me, aesthetics alone are not good enough. Me having a planner system that will give me the bare bone basics and then leave me feeling more like I just got ghosted by a boyfriend, not really good enough. Okay, with that disclaimer out of the way, moving on to the next system, which I mean, this gives a completely, totally a different vibe all in and of itself. Here, I kind of got like wrapped up in this fantasy idea of, oh my God, the design is so beautiful that I absolutely need it in my life. So aesthetically activated that you're kind of like, wow, Cloth and Paper would be another one of those brands that they sell you on the idea and like the storyline of the different designers that you're just like, I can't help but be drawn to it. Well, say less. Meet the Hobonichi Han for 2025. And this is probably like my biggest regret overall, because on paper, when I'm looking at what this presents me with and having my entire year wrapped up in one booklet, it feels like a fantasy coming true. It feels like 5 years from now, I'm going to look back and I'm going to be so grateful and so happy that I have all of these pages filled out. In reality, the time commitment that this required for me to do to constantly maintain both a weekly and a daily layout every single day in an A5 booklet, it was 100% unrealistic, unless, of course, this was the only book that I was actually using. Well, spoiler, this is not the only book that I was using, so I just feel like this was so much commitment for a mediocre payoff. But beyond the size, sometimes I also kind of get annoyed whenever like I see how flimsy the pages are. And if there's this level of ghosting that's happening, and I mean, you can easily see it. And this was not even like a really runny pen that I was using. I'm just like, oh, really? Like, it's sort of like you get this idea that you're going to go on a date and go to like a high-end restaurant, and then and in reality, you end up in Wendy's. And this one is going to be spicy. And again, you already know my full disclaimer on this. Let's talk about the Rings Planner. And more specifically, I wanted to actually talk to you about the inserts that I have, because I have so many. Insert from Noted. Sounds like a fantastic idea. This is actually a dated insert. First of all, like, what are you thinking buying a dated insert? Like, let's start right there. I started with a dated insert thinking, No, but this will keep me accountable. Yeah, you know how many of these empty dated inserts I have right now that I didn't reach for, not realizing that, spoiler, you actually don't need a week in one page. Like, this is how much I get per day for the days. You have a section for each day. You have like a little tracker, note section, to-do list, and priorities. Sounds great and very functional, right? So here's what it looks like in real life of how I actually used it. And legit, like I would put like maybe one thing in per day of when I have like a hair appointment or going to the clinic, but I could fit so little here. It was ridiculous. I just felt like I had to like shapeshift to make this work. And yes, I know it's probably because this was a week in one page. Granted, I'll give you that. But even on sometimes when I would have it on 2 pages, I still feel this level of restriction. So first of all, if you're finding this video helpful and useful, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to just yet. If you love a video like this, where we're looking at all of the things that are not working and you are actually curious of what is something that I have replaced all of these items with instead, make sure that you check out my brand new lineup on Patreon. I would absolutely love to have you in the community because this video is going to be there, but we're going to extend it and talk about all the things that were actually working. So if you're curious, check it out. And let's just get right back into the video. And I know that some of you will 100% make this work because the way that this would be ideal is it would be ideal for those of you that are kind of just like, give me high-level appointments and events that are happening for that specific day so I can fit it into maybe 3 to 4 grid sizes and then call it a day. Your life doesn't run on that. If you need a lot more space to expand and whatnot, then this would 100% not work for you. But this is an A5 size insert. This is a perfect example of what you get when you have a full-blown misalignment with the identity that you get drawn to from a brand versus who you actually are. So this is from Cloth and Paper. This is their creative planning bundle. Fantastic. Let's take a look. So you would have like a client request. Oh my gosh. Client request, and then you put in like name, description, budget, blah, blah, blah. You put in the notes and then some ideas. And then this goes on for I don't know how many pages. And then you can also like map out different projects that you're currently working on. I believe they came up with this when they were like, oh, this one is for like content creators or whatever, or influencers. I love the idea. I hate that it's so not applicable for most of us. It's crazy. Most of us are not going to be content creators. Most of us are not going to be working on specific projects unless, of course, we're talking about maybe making dinner. I was so addicted and drawn to the aesthetic that Cloth and Paper represents. It's like you're trying to channel like girl boss energy, but then you're working at Costco. And it's not that you couldn't, it's just that there's a full-blown misalignment. What your needs are, what will actually bring you structure, versus what you're being given as a potential solution. And then it's sort of like you're thrown out into the wild and said, go and figure it out, friend. I just didn't find that they have answered the question of how does your product actually reduce decision fatigue for me? How do we structure things in a way where when I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is actually solving a specific problem for me rather than just adding pretty aesthetic into my planner. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, no shade to any of these brands. Like if you're finding this, if you still have this insert, I don't even know when they came up with this, but if you have this insert and you love it, totally cool. And I think that it will be suitable for a specific type of planner girl. And unfortunately, that's not for me. Now let's move on to the next category, which is inks and pen. I have opinions on here. So inks and pen, I don't have a ton of inks to share with you. I only have like 3, but basically let's start with Hot and Strong. Let's talk about Sailor. Both of them were probably the most expensive pens that I bought. So that should tell you something right there. Based on how much I paid for it and how much I'm currently reaching for it, I love using these for like long format writing. I don't reach for these on a regular basis for like quick daily, let me just jot down a quick little note. And the reason for that is because the inks I put in here, I have to be really careful with the type of inks I put in there because sometimes they get all clogged up, sometimes they get runny, the colors don't come out the same way. it's a little bit more high maintenance than I was hoping it would be. No shade to Sailor. I absolutely love these pens and I'm so glad that I have them. I will 100% continue to buy them and use them. But I mean, if I had to choose and you asked me one quick question, what I would use instead, I would probably just go with like an entry-level Pilot Kakuno, just because here, I don't feel like I have to finick nearly as hard. I don't have to work so hard to make it work. It's sort of like when you have a difference between like a coach who asks you to like step up your game at every single time versus your best friend who completely understands you right from the get-go and you can start with a joke. So that's sort of like the vibe difference between the two. Next up, this one will, again, not come as a surprise to literally anyone who has watched me before. Keep in mind, I'm left-handed, so the way that I'm going to write is going to be a little bit different than the way that most people write. I have to go with Uni 1 pen. And I mean, body, beautiful. It's basically a dupe for a Kaweco Sport. And we all love a Kaweco Sport, a small, chunky, like just be resting in my hand and life is good moment. However, the ink, I don't know, I don't know what you guys are doing, but we need to talk about like the ink being skipping. And I mean, I have multiples. And so at first I just thought that, oh, maybe it was just like a bad batch or something. No, it was consistent all across. And as soon as I mean, this drives me insane. When I hear people talking about how obsessed they are with this pen, again, love the body, but the ink in here is just sort of like, are you for real right now? Like, are we using the exact same product? Because I don't think that we are. Or that just tells me that the way that I'm using my pen might just be a really unique way that I'm using it. But here, I'll just show you. Just like that's how long that took. Tell me that that's smooth writing because it skipped like 2 spots here and it skipped once here. See what I mean? Like slow, even when I'm slowing it down. Like, are you for real? Even when I slow it down, it freaking skips. So it makes me not want to bother with it. It makes me not want to reach for it. It makes me angry that I invested money in it when the ink cartridge just like complete trash. And then if I have to work so hard, again, like what's with the high maintenance situation on a pen? If I buy a pen, I just want it to work. Like it's not a really big ask. You know what I mean? And I mean, I have the larger version of it too. Like, so these are like the minis. These are the normal size one. Sometimes this one behaves. So yeah, this one actually behaves fairly decently. See, like, look at the difference. It is like the same pen. I think it's even the same thickness. They're both the same like thickness. If I slow it down, it hits different, right? But I don't experience so much of a skipping on the full size one as I do with the mini. And I just find it super frustrating because I would love it if I could like pin one on every single one of my notebooks, every single one of my planners. I could just have one in my car. I could have one at my clinic. I could have one in my bag. I could have one attached to my TN, you name it. So you get the point. You know that I would love, it's sort of like I love the idea of it and I hate the execution of it. And therefore I'm just like, you are not worth my time. I'm sorry. We have to move on. And last but not least, this is just one of those products where I love it, but I'm also like, why did you do this? And maybe, again, the product might be too evolved for my liking, but I'm just saying I never reach for this. I want to, but like, what's the point? It's one of these highlighters that it's called the Mix line. It's a highlighter with an underline. Like, why? Why? You know how hard you have to work on this? And I know that we're like, oh, we're trying to be like original and we're going to make it unique. It's like, dude, like, no, just make it normal. If I want just a green highlighter, like, you know how hard I have to work just so that I get the green alone where you're like tilting the highlighter. And then, but then in theory, it's like, hang on. Ooh, look at that. It gave me a yellow underline. But it's like, okay, just like, stop being weird. Like, here you go. Like, here you go. If I really want to underline it, first of all, I wouldn't go that close to it. Second of all, I can put it on an angle where it makes sense for me to hold the pen, and then I can still get the same. Plus then some. Then I can add like a little dot right next to it, and then like life is good. Why do we have to overcomplicate it? It's just, keep it simple. Give me the function of a highlighter, make it cute, And then I don't have to worry about like that extra like fine liner that I will never use. Like, you know how weird this looks right now in my like normal planner when I just want like a normal neutral aesthetic and I just want to highlight a couple of things. I don't need this extra line. Like, just no, please, no thank you. I tasted your appetizer and I'm not buying the full product. Thank you. Oh, actually, within inks, I'm only going to like highlight maybe a couple of them just because for funsies. But basically, I wanted to highlight, well, first of all, this one is a true empty. Like, it's just like, what was I thinking? So this one is from, oh my gosh, from Ferris Wheel Press. And this is Queen Allium. I was actually upset when I was like fully running out of this. Basically, I've learned anything shimmer, like what are we doing? I have to be really careful and really cautious with how I'm looking at shimmer inks just because it's not going to give me the feedback. It's not going to give me the payoff that I'm really hoping for, even though it makes sense in my head. So, you know, when sometimes you just get drawn in and you buy certain things because they made it look so good and so aesthetic, and you get sold more on the idea than on the actual product. Because really when I'm looking at like, do I really need like a darkish purple ink? Probably not. But here is a swatch. Let's take a look together, and hopefully I'm not gonna ruin my sweater in the process. Like, it's fine, but I mean, like, at the very beginning when I started buying fountain pens, I bought so many of these like shimmery, whatever, fun color inks, and I convinced myself that it will be like the most useful thing and I'm going to have like the most beautiful spreads. And I sold myself on a fantasy so hard because I would see the swatch and I'm like, ooh, color changing. And I mean, it doesn't look bad. Like, there's nothing really inherently wrong with it. So what's wrong with it is that when I'm writing the swatch and I'm actually doing the swatch itself and I look at this, I immediately register that this is the color that I'm going to get once I'm loading this up into my pen. And then in reality, that's so not the case, because especially if it goes into some of my pens that are more fine tipped pens, it dilutes the ink so much that eventually it's like hard to read. But beautiful color. Like, if I was basically the type of creator that also uses fountain pen inks to do drawings and to do doodles or paintings and stuff like that, stunning, absolutely stunning color. I have no complaints about it. My complaint is not so much in the process of, you know, is it bad quality? No, it's not. It's totally fine. The quality is okay. The color is beautiful. Everything is fine, except the way there's that mismatch between how I wanted to use it, which is just put it into my fountain pens and write with it, versus what the color was actually giving. Troublemaker. The ink is called, the brand is called Troublemaker. So this is Albalone, which is basically, it's like this bluish purple, super stunning color. We'll go take a look. At first we start out with, oh no, but it's blue. Is it blue? It has like this purplish hue. It's a very interesting color. And as you can tell, like, I'm about a good quarter of the way in. I hate the fact that I rarely get, and I need you guys to see this close up. The thing that I have an issue with a lot of these colors that I bought very early on, first of all, I like that, like, you know, like the price point and everything was fine, but I hate the fact that I got bought into the idea that this is the depth that I'm going to get, or this is the depth that I'm going to get, when in reality, I was getting more like what you see here. Does that make sense? So like, I thought that I would get like this nice, rich, saturated color. And instead, in reality, it was more like what you see here, like this faintest blue. And so when I went to kind of read back some of my writing, when I would have this in my pen, I would just feel so underwhelmed. And I don't know if you felt that way, especially if you are like new-ish to fountain pens, the same way that I am new-ish to fountain pens. It took me a few tries to, first of all, learn that not to buy like full bottles, because then you end up with this, but to kind of try out a bunch of samples and see what you like, because then you can kind of play around with color, and you can also kind of lean more into What is your color signature that you can lean on beyond black? Obviously, black will always hit well, but if you love, just changes and seasonally changing up your fountain pen inks, this was a really good example of almost like what not to do, because I just felt like I kind of bought into this idea that I need variety and color and fun and substance. And then I was buying almost like the wrong colors at all times. And the funny thing is that especially with like Troublemaker, I actually bought them in a stationery store where people could have stopped me. So I could have saved so much money. Like the amount of fountain pen inks that I have from Troublemaker, let's just not talk about it because I'm probably going to get upset and we just don't need that energy right now. But moving on to accessories before we wrap up. I have so much to share with you. So this is more like I'm witnessing my own evolution in real time of what was working and what was not working. That's without me fully go down memory lane and then like just, rapid firing every single thing that I love or I don't love. So let's talk about accessories, because when I'm thinking accessories, my main expectation is that it's going to be helpful and useful. And then I bought a Penco. And again, I know it's very popular. Like it is so strong, like literally, like if you look at like how much my finger is flexing whenever I'm using it, that's when you know that you're activating your thumb muscles just so that you can open this guy. So this clip is not for the faint of heart. Definitely not something that you want your finger to be pinched in, because this one almost doubles as a weapon. What I hate, what I absolutely cannot stand, and I mean, I have the little sister as well, so it's not just the huge guy. I like it. I could not. I bought it with the intention of, hey, I have a traveler's notebook. Can you keep it open for me? Well, let's see. Can you? Yeah, you can. After your full hand workout, you 100% can. I have a hard time, and you can tell. I only have like 3 inserts in here. It's not like it's like a huge chunky thing. Dude, like this is so hard. Like, you know how hard it is to just clamp this in? When I bought it with the pure intention of this will be wider to clamp down than using the one from TN. Just like, I just needed you to do one thing and I needed you to do it well. And you're making this so complicated and difficult. I hate reaching for this. And I'm like, hold up 1 second. What if I use the little one? So much easier, so cute, right? It kind of looks like a clothespin. It kind of does actually. Can I do this? Yes. Yes, I can. Does this look like I could potentially add this into my bag? No, it doesn't. Like, what are we talking about? Can I add it at the top and kind of do the same? 100% we can absolutely do that. Looking cute. Like, what are we, like, what is happening? It is so big and bulky for what I needed to do. Here's my thing, okay? Like if I were to redesign this, I'm not saying I want to redesign this. I'm just saying like if I were to redesign this, give me the same strength, the same structure, the same material, everything can still stay the same. Shorten both of these, please. Shorten them so that when I'm clipping this guy on, I don't have like, it's almost like a size of like a small character. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is so long. And then it like gets caught up in everything. It's not the same feeling that you get when you have, and of course I don't have it here right now because it's actually clipped right onto my TN, but it's not the same feeling that I would get when I'm just clamping down with a traveler's notebook clamp. Yeah, like it's not the same. I think my issue with a lot of these clamps and ollie clips and things like that is that they promise you one thing, they promise you the aesthetic, but then sometimes the functionality kind of outweighs like the practicality. Does that make sense? So I'm like immediately like, oh my gosh, you're again so much work for what it is. I will just do this with my book and just make it work, man. Next up is staying still within the accessories. I'm gonna just move right into stickers just for a moment. Not too much, but let's just return to the conversation around what is happening with and the evolution of cloth and paper. Once again, I happen to have them just because like I got sent so many of these in like many sub boxes. Clearly you can tell how many different sub boxes I got just based on how far we go back in the era. But I mean, I'm mentioning this again with a caveat that if you have these stickers, please use them. They're totally fine. Quality wise, they're okay. There's literally nothing wrong with them. However, there is a massive mismanagement of what actually works for me and what I'm not understanding. So let's get into this. So first of all, we have this, like these time blocking stickers. Okay, you can kind of see it with the background, right? Like you have like this structure, like, ooh, I'm gonna be fancy and I'm gonna add like texture to blocking time. I don't do time blocking. So then I'm like, okay, fantastic. Can we use this other ways? 100% we can. And I will show you a couple of examples in a moment. But I mean, I find that as soon as I try to add this in as other functionality within, and I mean, I've used this on like a daily page or something. Perfect example. Here you go. Exhibit A. It's fine. I semi-tried time blocking. It was so annoying for me. Aesthetically, this looks great. Like there's like when I initially look at it, like does this make sense for me? Like does it look aesthetically like cohesive? For sure it does. Will I like repurchase this? No, I won't. It just feels like we're trying too many things to be too many things just for the sake of being interesting. So if you're not doing time blocking within your planning, you will probably not end up using this. Can I use this for other purposes? Yeah, kinda. But I mean, I can't put this over anything that I'm writing because like, look, I could put it over, let's say, the thing that says priorities. Again, I already can see the cloth and paper girlies that are going to be coming for me in the comments. So please don't come for me in the comments. Just please see my point. Here, it has texture. You can't put it over writing, which is dumb. Can I put it above it? Yeah. Doesn't that look busy to you? Because it looks busy to me. And then can I just add it like in open space to kind of break something up? Yeah, kind of. It looks odd. So I'm just kind of sitting there like, all right, girl, like, what are we doing? And what do I use you for functionally so that I don't feel like there's like a whole sticker sheet that just got wasted on random? There are dot stickers. I actually really love the dot stickers and I have bought it before and I bought it again. But I will say the amount of money this cost, and I will just pop it on the screen so you can see it because I honestly can't remember the exact amount, but how much you pay for this versus what you can get rolls. Girl, rolls and rolls and rolls from Amazon in like multitude of colors. Is it going to be the same like size structure? No, obviously not. But if you want like soft muted colors, I get this over this sheet of just base stickers any day of the week. So the value proposition doesn't make sense to me. And that goes for these weird shapes as the half circle stickers. And then when I'm looking at the icons, it's sort of the same idea. I will not really be able to use most of these because I'm not going to write over this. Technically, it was sort of designed like, ooh, write over me. And then you can just add that in as like a category. Okay, then we're going to need a totally different pen than the pens that I'm using. So then we're back to square one of we're trying to, basically, it's almost like I have to work for the tool to be functional in my life instead of the tool working for me to be functional in my life. Does that make sense? Again, there's like a disconnect there. That's just my take on it. And again, I know that some of you have struggled with this where half the time you get these really like specific like header, whatever, like these things. And you're like, okay, cool. How do I apply this to my current system so that it looks aesthetic? I'm still able to live my best aesthetic life, but then I'm also not wasting time and having to use two separate pens and this and that just so that I can use one sticker in my planner. Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean by like being high maintenance. If a base product is being high maintenance, then that's not structure. That's more just there for fun. And there's nothing wrong with it, but then don't sell me on the idea of productivity when you're not delivering. And last but not least, controversial, I know. Will you hate it? Probably. Will we talk about it? Absolutely yes. I have to go with this. This is from 1.61 soft, I think it's called Soft Touch, Soft Goods. I bought this thinking, oh my gosh, finally I'm gonna live my best leather life. I add this into my TN and it's gonna be so good. I can fill this side with stickers, this side with whatever, and it's gonna be great. The only time that I found this helpful and functional, first of all, I didn't use it as a wallet. So there's already a mismanagement or like a mismatch of function. I found the zipper to be like tiny. I don't fit a ton of things in here. Like look how hard it is to even like fit anything in here. I'm not gonna use it as a wallet. Beautiful, very soft leather. I love their products, but the functionality for what I bought this for, it's so not useful. Instead, and I'm just gonna give you guys this, but really like, you know, any of like these fabric type inserts that I can add in here, 1,000 times more functional, because if you're looking at here, you get 2 actual folders. Here, the 2 folders sit slightly differently. I can slide things in. We're making it functional. Not only that, but it's not in your face. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fall out. It doesn't feel like you have like this micro space where you may fit 2 credit cards. Okay, like thank you so much for that. That was not helpful at all. Zipper, also super wide and like soft and bendable, and I don't feel like I'm about to ruin leather by adding it into my planner setup. So that's my take on it. I think the roast session has been concluded. This is basically all I wanted to share with you. Now here's your question of the day. What is one thing that you have in your current stash that you have either used or you still have it, but there's no way that you would ever restock again, just because it was just such a fail? Please share it in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't had a chance to just yet. And in the meanwhile, just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things. And I will see you guys again in my next video. Bye.